Anime is a very popular and now very accepted form of media. Japanese animation is often referred to as weird, over the top, or overly sexualized. I guess those people who say that are not too self aware, because all other forms of media are pretty much in the same category. Regardless, Japanese animation has basically been implemented into almost every form of media. The implementation of anime into video games has had a pretty hardcore cult following for the last, I'd say, 20 years. It has spawned such classics like Tales of Symphonia and the Final Fantasy series. I usually see anime-based games flourish mainly in an RPG setting or sometimes RTS. Not so much in a crazy FPS or action game setting, unless, of course, if you're referring to Ninja Gaiden. That's a major exception. If it isn't already apparent, I am going to be diving into waters that I usually tend to avoid. It's not exactly my favorite form of media. I have my moments of indulging in it, don't get me wrong, but those moments are far and very much in between. I usually watch anime like Berserk, Full Metal Alchemist, and Claymore. Stories and animation that really make you think, and also understand that everything isn't rainbows and sunshine all the time. Most mainstream anime that I see nowadays are predictable and are watched for the plot, so they say. I've always felt that those kinds of anime are really just distracting. The plot is usually get this thing in order to defeat this guy and meet a bunch of zany, pretty as sin characters along the way. The game series that we are going to be diving into today is .hack GU. I'd say that this series of games hits the marks of both mainstream anime and the darker stuff that I usually like. You've got your harsh realities, fan service, great storytelling, and crazy good action. I am well aware of the original .hack series. I would personally rather be talking about that. However, it is next to impossible to find every volume within a reasonable price, especially since the final volume in that collection is now considered to be the second rarest game on the PS2. GU is very easy to get your hands on thanks to Bandai Namco's release of .hack GU Last Recode on PS4 and PC. Anyone can enjoy this collection to its fullest along with an added fourth volume that is exclusive to this collection. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that GU itself is divided up by volumes. This was originally a PS2 exclusive, and they had to work within those boundaries. And those discs could only hold so much. So they had to release each volume as its own separate game. Basically the same game across all volumes, just slight differences and improvements here or there per. This is for my fellow gamers and cult underground anime followers. I'm going to shed light on something I believe needs a bit of appreciation and a bit of criticism. So let's level up, anime grunt at every reveal, and try not to lose track of time while playing this thing. This is .hack GU.
Hey, Atali! Atali, are you okay? Come on, speak to me!
Let me know if this sounds familiar. Crazy things happen in an MMORPG-like game. The technology used for said game is super advanced. It's up to the players to find out what is going on and or resolve the said conflict. If it does, then you have .hack to thank for that. Bandai Namco cashed in on this concept before it became as popular as it is now. Originality aside, the deep story is going to be what draws people in and keeps them there. The story of .hack GU takes place in a game called The World, and it is a massively popular MMORPG. You follow a player named Haseo who is called a PKK, which is basically a player who hunts down other players who indiscriminately kill other players. He has an edgy nickname as well, the Terror of Death. The story starts off with Haseo trying to avenge his kind of girlfriend, Shino, who has fallen into a coma after having her character killed by a mysterious player called Tri-Edge. Eventually, it turns into a quest of trying to save those who have also been put into comatose states from playing the game. The main thing that I like about the story is how it develops the main character, Haseo. He starts off being an outright piece of crud to being actually a pretty reasonable and emotionally stable guy. The story itself also unfolds unexpectedly as things go on, and make you question things constantly. It does take a bit of critical thinking to put things together, but your comprehension skills are not going to be strained. I can promise you that. You're going to notice that the game has two planes of interaction. The world itself, which is when you are playing the game, and the desktop, where you interact with everyone via email and through the forums. A lot of your exposition and little details are going to be coming from the desktop area, so prepare to do some reading. There are plenty of side stories and characters to find. This usually involves checking forums and doing side quests that deviate a bit from the main story. For doing it, you get lots of good stuff out of it, and some extra story content as well. As you gain party members and keep playing, you will have this thing called an affection meter next to their names that lets you know how deep your relationship is with them. This can be increased by playing with the characters, giving them equipment, and sending them postcards. This will allow you to unlock a romance option at the end of Volume 3 of the collection if you are so curious. As a kid, this was the kind of edgy crap that I was into. And then I grew up and realized that not everyone can be some pretty boy, be edgy as heck, and get the girl. You have to at least look the part, which I definitely don't, but I digress. We're not here for my own insecurities and what could be. To say the least, the story that you get out of this is satisfying and a great fantasy to dive into. The stakes are high and genuine involvement is required from you, the player, in order to get things going. Every character is written well and is voiced by talented people. So if you do get into this game, you will at least love the story that is being told.
Don't let it counterattack. Yeah, this is it.
One thing that any fan can agree on that GU does better than the original is its gameplay loop. Not gonna lie, the original .hack did not exactly age well. But that isn't the subject here. GU managed to take the combat from the original and flip it upside down and dip it into nice modernizing juice. Instead of having more static and WoW-based combat, you can now strike, block, and move whenever you want. You basically have complete freedom on how you approach each combat situation. You can sometimes avoid them, go into them head first, or just surprise attack them and start beating the crap out of them. Whenever a fight starts, this ring of fire forms around you and the opposing party, basically trapping you there. At this point, you have no choice but to fight. If things go to total crap, you can run away by running towards the outer ring of the arena till you break out. But this will rarely have to happen unless if you are heavily underlevel. The game gives you plenty of opportunities to level up and take on side quests, so that way you are more than prepared for whatever the story throws at you. If you're an overachiever like I am, you will find plenty of ways to break the game. The next part of the combat that happens every so often are the avatar battles. I've got to say, Volume 1 had very basic battles. It's in Volume 2 that it actually starts to get interesting. It's really hard to describe what kind of combat this is, since I haven't really played anything like it. You take control of Haseo's epitaph/avatar named Skaith. You will be needing to shoot your opponent in order to weaken them, dodge their attacks, and cut them to ribbons. Once enough damage has been done, the enemy will enter a state called Protection Break. When this happens, you will need to charge a shot that will allow Skaith to data drain the target and end the fight. There is somewhat of a trick to it, though. The enemy will proceed to do ranged attacks to try and throw off your charge and your shot. You will also only have around 45 seconds to accomplish this final move. Fortunately, it isn't too hard. Most of my shots were pretty easy to make. You're probably wondering what combat is like when special events are not happening, correct? Well, prepare to be very much not amazed. It's pretty much plays as any kind of ARPG that you've ever played. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. It's familiar and very easy to grab onto. You're able to avoid attacks and block in real time, and you can attack whenever you feel like. The major gimmick of the combat is the Rengeki system. Basically, when you have done enough damage and scored enough hits on an opponent, they go into a stunned state and glow purple. If you decide to do a skill trigger attack on them, it will register as a Rengeki finisher, doing more damage and granting you extra XP at the end of the fight. Nice thing is that the XP bonus does stack, so perform the function as much as you like to level up faster. As you progress through each volume, Haseo will go through 4 job extensions. allowing him to use an extra weapon per form. On the final form, however, you will only have one weapon that basically wrecks everything, so don't be too concerned with weapon upgrades in Volume 4. Like any ARPG, you do get gear that you will need to manage. Fortunately, it is not that in-depth and very easy to understand. Gear basically correlates to your level. As long as you are getting gear that is better and improves your stats, then you are generally fine. When you hit Volume 2 and 3, you will be able to alchemize gear in order to improve it. But that does go away in Volume 4 because it is no longer needed. The last thing that I want to talk about is the customization, and it is somewhat important. Yes, when you get to a high enough level, it doesn't really matter how much damage something can do to you. You're almost practically immortal. But that doesn't mean that status ailments cannot affect you. For example, paralysis. That's a big one in this game, and so is putting somebody to sleep in the middle of a fight. So, if you do come across those kinds of items, it's wise to actually equip those modifications and actually make your life a little bit easier when it comes to facing certain monsters and bosses, because they do use those status ailments on your party and yourself a lot. Now, you're probably listening to all this, watching this video, going, wow, so far this sounds great, right? There are, however, a couple of things that I would like to point out when it comes to the gameplay loop, which I believe were golden opportunities for the devs. First, it is way too easy to become overpowered and steamroll through the game like it's nothing. All you need to do is grind a bit and you're basically good for at least a couple of hours. I believe making it to where each story-based area matches your level or at least stays a level below you would have helped keep the challenge going, and not make it feel like as if it was a slog whenever you went to an area and just leveled up a bit. Second, the tracking for animations are sometimes a little off. Not sure why, but there were several instances where I would be attacking an enemy and wanting to stay strictly attacking them, and then the targeting reticle would change to a different enemy. Maybe there's a solution to this. Maybe I'm just missing something, but I did experience this a lot during my playthrough. Third, a hard difficulty setting I think would have appealed to someone like me who has beaten the game before. It would add some replayability to the game. Fourth, the environments do get pretty repetitive. Some people may get a little bothered by that. These are, of course, grievances on a PS2 game that was just simply ported to the PS4, specifically for the fans. I just feel that more could have been done with it. It was a golden opportunity to make improvements in areas that I think Bandai Namco or CyberConnect 2 could have taken advantage of.
They're here!
I'm going to level with you here. In order to get through this whole collection, it is going to take you a long time. Volumes 1 through 3 took me a grand total of around 50 hours to get through, and I cut corners, while Volume 4 was only around 3. You are indeed getting a good value here, especially if you are a fan of these kinds of games, or are just nostalgic like I am. Another feature that is handy with this version of the game is the cheat mode. It will allow you to just steamroll through all of the fights of the game and even give you a god mode. So if you are just a big fan of the story and want to see it all play out, there you go. There's your super easy button right there. The next thing that needs to be talked about is the major graphical differences between Volumes 1 through 3 compared to 4. You will see a noticeable facelift with Volume 4. Bandai Namco pretty much just ported Volumes 1 through 3 to the PS4, and developed Volume 4 with a limited budget. To some, this can be seen as a bit underwhelming. I'll be honest, I felt that way too. At least they were able to bring back the original voice actors for Volume 4. Volume 4 was developed for this collection in order to tie up all loose ends. This part does have spoilers, so if you don't want me to spoil something on a 15-year-old game, then skip to the timestamp on screen. If you play Volume 3 through its entirety, you get a hidden cutscene which shows Ovan still alive and encased in ice. This ending is only achieved by beating the Forest of Pain, which is quite the slog to get through. And you have to be sure and accomplish a side quest known as The Abyss. If you want more details on this, either look it up on Google or just make sure you check the forums in the game. I'm sure you can figure it out. I can safely say that the voice acting is spot on. Everyone who did voice a character in the trilogy as well as in Volume 4 did an admirable job and should be commended for it. The only thing that kind of got on my nerves every once in a while was the combat noises. There is a lot of grunting and yelling as the characters attack and receive damage. And when I say a lot, I mean practically every second. This is, however, a minor complaint, and I know you anime junkies out there won't mind. I can really only recommend .hack.gu to fans of all things anime. If you are like me and grew up with classic PlayStation 1 and 2 games, you will appreciate this to some degree. I personally will get the urge to play it every once in a while. It won't be for just the gameplay itself, it will also be for the unique setting and story. You can find Last Recode on Steam and PS4 for sale often. So if you are somewhat interested, it just may surprise you. So that is it for this review / retrospective, whatever you want to call it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Did you agree with me? Did you not? Leave a comment down below and let me know how you feel. I know I am not the only one with a voice here. Please keep it appropriate, of course. If you want to see more nerd stuff from me, please subscribe and hit that bell icon. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.